Welcome back to Manga Historian's Berserk series. Today we'll be covering Berserk chapter 151 to 154. In our last video, Guts has finally made his way to the refugee camp just before the Tower of Conviction. He fought his way through a group of possessed heretics to fight Casca, but he only lost her again. Outside of the heretic's secret passage along the mountain, Guts watches as Casca and Luca's friend Nina is taken away by the Knights of the Holy Iron Chain. As Guts prepares himself to head over to the Tower of Conviction, Luca tells the other girls that if they're not back by the morning, they're going to need to get out of here. Guts tells Luca that he thinks that it might be better for her not to do it. He can't guarantee her safety, and she might be a burden. Ishidoro says, yeah, this isn't a girl's job, and Guts tells him, that actually goes for you as well. Luca says that she's worried about Casca, plus with her, she has a way of getting into the tower without fighting. Guts looks towards the tower and he tells them, fine, do whatever you want then. But as the three of them make their way there, a pair of eyes that have been watching these events looks on. As they do, they say that it's impossible to change the course of the ceremony, but it has already happened and it will happen again. Over inside of the tower, Casca and Nina sit in their cell while Nina covers her ears, begging for Luca to come save her. And Nina asks, you're a witch, right? You can use your magic and get us out of here. Casca stares for a moment and then begins to chew on a piece of straw and then twirls it around. Nina pushes Casca, shouting, come on, it's all because of you. If we hadn't met, none of this would be even happening. Casca gets back up trying to say something, but Nina runs over hugging her, telling her she's sorry she didn't mean it. But suddenly the two of them hear the cell door rattling as it opens. And behind it, they find a smaller executioner shouting for one of them to come out. It doesn't matter which. The two girls don't say anything and the executioner grabs Casca, saying, her then. Nina thinks to herself that she wants to say something, but if she does, then she will be the one to be tortured. Before the executioner leaves, he stops and looks back at Nina and then pushes Casca back in. He points to Nina, stating that she will come. Her friend was being taken away and she didn't even try to stop them. That's the sign of a selfish person, and he hates those people the most. Nina tries to pull back, but the executioner grabs her by the arm and drags her out. As the executioners lead Nina down the hall, she asks herself, what did she do wrong? She is so scared. Her body's going to die anyway, which is why she should have stopped them. The executioner mentions that they have already had all of the others. They're the only two left, and Nina thinks that maybe if she tells him everything, maybe she wouldn't have to suffer. She then says that she needs a bit more courage to get through this. As the doors to the torture room open, the first thing that Nina sees are the hanging bodies of the dead. She begins to scream now, and as she stumbles back into another executioner, she wets herself. The smaller executioner tells her to walk, and Nina starts to look at all of the women who have been killed. Some killed by having a bladed rake tear into their back, and another whipped by a barbed flail. Nina says that she can't do this, she can't! Meanwhile, over at the abbot's office, Farnese and Serpico meet with the abbot, and he tells them that they've been ordered to leave by the request of the Holy See. Farnese tries to fight it, but the abbot tells her that the order was issued by her father. She clenches her fist and then she leaves, and as she storms out, Serpico tells Farnese to hang on. But as he stops, she turns and slaps him. She tells him that he was the one who told her father, wasn't he? He told them that she was happy burning and killing all of those pagans too, didn't he? Farnese leans in, poking Serpico's chest, telling him to never forget that his master is her. He has sworn by his sword and she is his only master. Serpico says yes, and Farnese turns back. She asks if he hates her, and Serpico asks, why should I? Without responding, she continues on, and as the two reach the stairway, they see the executioners dragging Nina as she cries. The smaller executioner tells her that she is so useless. She told them everything and they didn't even hurt her yet. But as Nina continues to cry, the executioner tells her that this is her last night, so she better enjoy it. Once Farnese reaches the torture room, Mosgus tells Farnese that she did a good job these past few years catching the heretics, but she says that it was due to the help of God that she could do all of this. She then begins to say that she has a question and decides not to ask it. Mosgus goes on stating that according to the report, during the attack something happened. Farnese tells him that that is correct. While the heretics were performing their ceremony, they used different sorts of drugs which may have caused illusions. Mosgus then mentions that the report said that the Black Swordsman appeared as well. Then Farnese tells him yes. Mosgus then asks why did he show up? Does he have a grudge against the Iron Chain? Just then the executioners bring Casca in, and while she chews on the hood of the smaller executioner, Farnese thinks maybe. Mosgus looks at Casca asking, what's wrong with her? And Farnese says that she feels that the Black Swordsman appeared to save this woman. Another executioner says that according to the testimonies, this woman is the leader of the pagans. Even all of the people inside ask for her to save them. Mosgus thinks on it and then he looks at Casca and he notices something on her chest. He rips off the top of her robe, exposing the brand. Mosgus smiles, stating that this is the mark of the witch! It seems that we don't need any more information on her. She will be executed right now. As they stand before the Iron Maiden, the smaller executioner opens the doors and a dead woman's body falls out. Just outside of the room, Puck makes his way through the halls into the torture room just as Casca is placed into the Iron Maiden. The doors start to close, pushing the spikes into her, and as the door shuts, the brand starts to bleed. The blood covering the inside of the walls begins to change, and then it takes form. Suddenly, the undead spirits shoot out, breaking apart the Iron Maiden's doors, kicking everyone close by away. Blood spatters onto Mozgus, and he asks, "What is going on here?" As Casca stands there, the undead spirits begin to crawl and ooze out. Outside of the tower, Guts and the others get closer, and Guts begins to feel like his neck is on fire. And he thinks, no, this isn't good, this is going to be dangerous. Once the group reaches the tower, Luca throws a rock at one of the wooden doors, and as it opens, a shadowy figure looks out at her. It then drops a ladder. She starts to climb and she tells Guts to wait here. She knows that he wants to rush in, but if they do that, they're just going to attract the attention of the guards. So just leave this to her. The man in the window tells Luca that he's never seen her before, and she says that her friend introduced her. She serves Sir Jerome. While the man counts the coins that Luca hands him, Guts jumps into the window and past the two of them. The man asks if he just saw something, and Luca laughs, stating that it was just his imagination as she kicks Ishidoro back down the ladder. Back in the torture room, Farnese asks what is this, and as Serpico stands in front of her to protect her, he begins to feel a drip coming from the ceiling. He looks up to see the blood forming together and creating little puddles. Soon the entire room is covered in these puddles, and one slowly covers one of the men. As the man is being fully absorbed, the puddle begins to eat the man until all that's left is a pile of bones. Serpico grabs Farnese, shouting that they need to leave, and she calls out to Mozgus, who is having executioners try and fight back. Puck flies over to Casca to try and help, but Casca reaches out, and the puddles begin to cover her until she's completely submerged. Back in the hallways, Guts sneaks around and sees Farnese and her men walking down the hallway. Serpico tells Azan that they need to hurry and leave, and as they walk, Farnese is pulled away. Guts throws Farnese against a wall, and she asks, "Why are you here?" Guts pulls out a knife and he holds it to her face, asking, "What have you done?" She sweats, asking if he's talking about the witch, and Guts pushes the blade into her mouth, telling her to answer him. She says that she's in the inquiry room, and he can't save her now. It's filled with... But Guts pushes the knife, shouting to tell him what's going on. And Farnese screams that she doesn't know. Those things can't possibly exist. Guts tells her to take him there. Farnese shouts no, she can't do that. She doesn't want to go back there. As she finishes her sentence, Guts punches the statue she's pressed against, and Guts tells her, "I'm sorry, but I'm in a hurry, and I'm about to get very angry." Back in Nina's cell, she tells herself that she's a pathetic human being. They didn't even finish pulling her nails off. All she has now is one more night. But even still, all she can do is think about herself. She doesn't want to die. As she sits, she begins to hear the guard shouting, "Retreat! Retreat!" She runs to the door asking what's going on, and as she steps back, she sees the walls seeping with blood. She begins to beat on the door, shouting for someone to help her, but then the cell door flies open. She jumps back to defend herself, and Luca looks in, stating that she found her. Nina runs into Luca's arms crying, and Jerome says that they may want to save the emotional reunion for after they escape. Apparently something is happening in the interrogation room. He goes on stating that thanks to the confusion they managed to get this far, and then he sees Ishidoro opening up all of the cell doors. He asks what he's doing, and Ishidoro tells him that he's freeing them so that the other prisoners can be their decoys. But Jerome then looks at Luca and says that she's ruining his reputation for women. Somehow this seems fitting, and Luca just smiles. Luca then looks at Nina asking where are they keeping Casca, but before she can say anything, Nina thinks that she knows that she's in the interrogation room. And as Nina opens up her mouth, she says she doesn't know. As the group gets moving, they begin to hear something coming out of the end of the hallway, and suddenly the puddles begin to crawl and ooze their ways towards them. In the interrogation room, Guts slams open the doors and he sees nothing. Farnese looks in, stating that it's empty, but those things flooded the room, and she holds her mouth, stating they did this. And Guts thinks that they got to Casca. Then a helmet begins to skip across the floor. Guts grabs the helmet, stating, "Hey," and Puck sits inside, terrified. Guts asks, "What are you doing?" And Puck shouts, "I had to protect myself, and never mind that, it's Casca. She's sucked in by those things, but it was strange. Though she was absorbed, it didn't drain her, so maybe she's okay." Farnese watches as Guts seemingly talks to himself, and then she asks who he's talking to. That's when she sees Puck. She tells herself that she's seen him before, but where? And then an image of when she was possessed flashes, and Farnese says, "It was that day." Up ahead, Guts starts to leave and tells Farnese that she can do whatever she wants. If she bothers him, he'll kill her. She looks around and sees the ooze seeping from the stone floor and shouts, "Wait, she's coming with!" Up ahead in the altar room, the executioners hold back the door from opening, and the crow tells Mozgus that he needs to escape. Mozgus grits his teeth, stating that they don't need to fear anything. This is the time that their faith will be put to the test. They don't need to request God's help. All they need is their faith. So let them accept this trial and rejoice as he sacrifices them. The ooze starts to break through the door and the walls, and Mozgus shouts that they will rediscover their faith in death. And then hanging behind him is the mysterious figure that has been watching everything. If you're not excited, I don't know why you're watching this. This is Berserk and it's insane. Don't forget to subscribe to Mangastorian and I'll see you next time right here at the Mangastorian channel.